Okay, thanks for joining me today with my co-host Daniyal Raza over in Islamabad, and today on the Amazon FBA Titans and Amazon FBA Sellers Group, we're joined today by Salman, a young man over in Pakistan, and basically he's joining us to speak about his experiences. He's a very successful young man. He is quite an inspiration. I've spoken to him off camera and we've seen a few things about Salman over on social media. And today we're going to get to know a bit about Salman for the audience, about what he's doing, what he does, and also about what his interests are within the social media and marketplaces within the e-commerce world. So without further ado, I'd just like to say thanks for joining us, Salman. And if you could just give us a... Yeah, no problems. And I'd just like you just to give the audience a run through of who you are, what your background is, and where you come from, basically.
Okay, so my name is Salman. I'm 17 years old and I come from Karachi, which is based in Pakistan. And I've been into e-com since 2019. I was 15 at that time.
Okay, brilliant. I'm just going to check now just quickly because I've got somebody asked if we're live. I'm just going to make sure this feed's going on at the moment. I always like to make sure because in the group that everybody can see. Yeah, looks like we're live. Welcome on board, Salman. You've got from Atik. We're probably going to have quite a few questions coming in and flying in. So we'll keep things open as we go. We've got quite a few viewers actually already, Salman. So you must have quite the young audience following you.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, me and Daniyal will probably ask you different questions. I know I've got my questions. I know Daniyal has. For those who are currently leaving comments on the Titan group, if you could just basically if you scroll down onto the post, you'll see it says there is a link. Click on that link, and you will be able to be given permission to leave a post with your Facebook user details and your profile pic. Okay, so Salman, we've got a brief background of who you are. So could I just ask? So could I just ask how many people currently do you work with, and are they remote? Do you have people you work with in house? You know, what's your network? What ages do you work with? If you don't mind me asking.
I work with all sorts of ages. I mean, I have employees 30 years old. I have an employee who is 51 years old. So, yeah, basically all my team is currently remote. I have some employees in Islamabad, some in the UK, some in Faisalabad or all over Pakistan. So currently it is remote, but soon I will be hiring another team for Karachi. So that's pretty much it.
Brilliant. Daniyal, have you got any questions you'd like to ask him before I start asking about social media?
Yeah, sure. So, Salman, I have some questions from you. I'm just going to ask one question on behalf of Pakistani audience. Like, at this young age, what made you to come this to online world? And, you know, at this stage, people are thinking about their studies, worrying about their studies, and you are in this online business, having those employees, 50 years old employees. So what made you think to come to this world? And how successful you came in this short time, you know? So what you would like to say to the Pakistani audience that are, you know, inspired from you?
Good question.
To be honest, I had no idea I would be at a place like this, but it's because of Dad that I started all of this. Because he was the one who always kept pushing me that do something with your life, do something with your life. Netflix not gonna pay you something. So I pretty much wasted all my time on Netflix because at the time of COVID, there were no schools. And even if there were schools, I would pretty much waste all my time probably. But it was him who pushed me for doing something. And now I'm over here.
Does that answer your question, Dan?
Yeah.
Amazing. I think it's a really good question. I've just put in a few comments on here. I know that some people's profiles aren't coming up yet, but you've got a lot of followers saying, wow, how are you? Hi, Salman. Somebody said, will Marie make an appearance? I think that's, yes, it's got to be somebody like, I think I know who that might be. But yeah, it's brilliant that you've got so many followers. We've noticed on the group that you've got over 500-600 likes, I think. So you've obviously got something good going on there. Quite impressive. The one thing I want to ask you technically, because I like to get under the hood and ask the technical questions in regards to what you're doing and the projects you've got on and all that kind of thing. So at the moment, I believe there are some things that are restricted. I think TikTok's restricted there at the moment, but I also know that you have got.
No, it's not anymore. It's
Is
not
it? But
anymore.
it
It was banned a couple
Yeah.
of weeks ago, but it's not anymore.
Okay, well that's good to know, because I think the fact that you've said that, this is what I mean. You're there, you're on it, you know what's happening. I just want to ask a couple of questions regarding social media. What kind of social media are you into? What's your favorite social media platform? And also, are your workforce are they as interested and intricated into social media as you are? Is that your primary business model, so to speak, if that makes sense?
I kind of like Facebook and
Right.
Pinterest and not TikTok. I don't use TikTok that often. I just if someone wants me to find them an influencer, then is the only time I use TikTok. But rather than that, I like Facebook and Pinterest.
I'll be
Pinterest
honest
is
with
now
you.
added to my list. Before that, I like Facebook very much.
Well, I'm going to be very honest with you. I think there's a very different approach within the Western Hemisphere, and I think that here you've got YouTube, you've got TikTok, you've got Snapchat. I think the instant hits are more of a big hit with the younger audience.
Oh no, I don't like Snapchat. No, the streaks and all. No, big waste of time.
I think it's interesting that, because the thing is, if I'm being honest, Salman, obviously we've not spoke about any platforms that you're interested in prior to this, have we at all? And I think that what I'm interested in is that you wouldn't get that answer from a lot of, I'm speaking probably for the audience, but you wouldn't get that kind of answer from a lot of the youth these days, because it's not kind of that niche that age gap is into from, retrospectively, and from a demographic angle, you wouldn't see that kind of feedback from your age. Is that the same kind of thing in Pakistan and the East? Do you find that a lot of people are into a certain social media platform, or is it that, what you're saying, is it quite varied? I mean, are a lot of people into Facebook and Pinterest, or are they into other social media platforms? That's the question.
People over here are just in it for the fun. I mean, if someone likes Facebook, it's just because of the videos and all, sharing posts and memes. If someone's into Instagram, it's all about flexing. If someone's into Snapchat, it's all about sending streaks. Oh, wait, send me something, my streak's gonna break and all that. But they don't realize the potential in every market. I mean, Instagram and Facebook have a lot of potential if you go for marketing. Pinterest has a lot of potential, but no one sees it that way.
So I would like to add something here. Like, if you go on Fiverr and search Snapchat marketing, you will only find 36 gigs on Snapchat marketing. So it's a huge opportunity for all those freelancers out there looking for, work. Snapchat itself is a huge opportunity. There are only 36 gigs. So yeah.
But if you talk about Pakistanis, we won't get up.
Oh, yeah.
You see,
you could say that. Yeah.
You see, that what I find interesting from my background is that every country, irrelevant around the world, we all have different ideals, traditions, culture. From a design aesthetic point of view, we all see things colors differently, color schemes, because of what our backgrounds are. So I find it interesting that you've said those two platforms more than anything, because if you go to another country, I know that there's many countries where, for example, Vimeo is restricted. You've got TikTok is restricted. There's many countries where they don't have a choice. And I think that what's interesting is that where you're at your age, from my perspective, in your country, things are booming, aren't they? They're increasing, and you give them more access. I think, is it PayPal that's going to be on the scene this year in your country with access? I think PayPal's coming along.
I don't think so. No, PayPal's not in Pakistan yet.
But I think it's coming this year. That's what I've heard. So I think that might open up opportunities for payments, cross-border payments. I think that there's things happening in your country at the moment that I find really interesting, because it's opening up potential, especially for you being young. I think that you're finding it's a great opportunity for you to inspire people as well.
I still can't do anything with it because I'm underage. Even if PayPal does come to Pakistan, I can make it.
Well, the thing is, Salman, you've got plenty of time to practice before you get to age. So when you hit that age, you can hit it hard. It's fantastic. Could I just ask a question? I'll ask a couple of questions we've got here on the group. Just 1 second. So this is one question we've got from somebody. I don't think some of these are coming through as registered, but it's fine. What's the biggest part of your business, Salman?
What do you mean by part?
I think if you take that from a technical point of view, I think you've already answered that. I mean, you've already said Facebook and Pinterest are your main interests, but even though they are your interest, is that the biggest sort of revenue in your business, would you say? I think that's, you don't have to answer that.
I don't think so, because I own a service-oriented business. All our revenue is generated from our clients. So no, Facebook is not a part of my business. It's just a way of, you're generating some sales or something.
Okay. That's fine. So basically, you're saying your clients are the biggest part of your business, and I'm guessing that can vary depending on what angle they come in at. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Right, no problem. Well, that answers that really. I mean, I think the fact you've got this broad scope going forwards in the future is particularly important. And obviously, my background from Pinterest. I think that with Pinterest, you've got scope with all these different algorithms and APIs where you can use all that knowledge from all the different places. So yeah, it's an interesting view that you've got, especially with I personally, I know other people maybe in the group can't believe it, but your age baffles me, because I know myself at 17 years old. I don't know about you, Daniel, but I was a bit of a rogue, and there's no way I would have the same head as you, Salman. So I've got to give you credit to having such a level head and dealing with an age range that you are within your business. It's fantastic to see. So I'll just pose a couple more questions here. So we've got, okay, that's quite an interesting question. I mean, it's more of a personal question, but how are you making yourself consistent and keeping yourself organized? Because I know you are it's a good question. I was not organized at your age. And I'm pretty certain a lot of people in my generation were kind of on the old school Spectrum ZX, Atari STs. You won't remember these, but your version of basically sitting there on an Xbox or a PlayStation. A lot of kids your age are doing these kind of things. So for you, how do you step away from that social influence? And do you find that problematic? Do you find it difficult, really?
I follow a simple timetable that created around 2 weeks ago. I update my timetables according to my schedule, and I follow them pretty much. That's how I stay organized.
Wow. Well, 17 years old. It's quite scary, really, but yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, just, obviously, you've obviously got things organized and you're refining that. I think from a systematical point of view, I think you've always got to do that, and I think it's important you go back and refine your processes constantly to be able to make them more efficient for you and your staff. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah.
So Salman, I have a question here. Like, do you go to school?
I'm homeschooled, actually.
I see. So how do you manage your studies with e-commerce business and all sort of things? So this is the biggest question a 17 years age guy would ask from you. How do you manage these things? Even I can't.
The simple formula is day is equals to studies and night is equals to Amazon.
Okay.
Why do I feel like I'm speaking to a programmer?
I'm not a programmer.
No, it's you do definitely. I can tell the systematical approach, which is it's very rare. It's very rare. I'm really humbled that you're on this chat today. I've got a few questions here, which are quite specific questions regarding PPC. Fantastic point, Daniel, on focusing on where there is less providers. That's definitely. But here we are. So, what service lanes are you in? Inclusive in? So PPC, FB, IG. What is the most biggest revenue driver for you?
I would say PPC and Pinterest.
Oh wow. Okay. And I didn't expect that, but yeah, that's Well, I suppose I suppose the terminology PPC has a broad range. Obviously, you've got your ads business hub, you've got different ranges in different platforms. But I suppose, yeah, PPC at the moment and going forwards, it's changing though, isn't it? As you know, you'll know this obviously if you're in the game. You know it's changing quite dramatically. And this year, I think it might be a really important year for everybody, really, considering where things are shifting and moving. You're smiling because you already know. But yeah, it's that's a good question. And yeah, PPC. Okay, well, we'll just see what other questions we've got here. So I think you've already answered what's your timetable. You reviewed that. Was it 2 weeks ago, you said? And how do you blend your business life with private life? I think you've pretty much answered that as well. Okay, here we are. This is quite a good question. So, Salman, what characteristics or traits do you believe successful people have in common?
Oh, the first and the most important one is they don't care about money. They care about learning something new every single day.
I know that's a great answer, and I know we've had this discussion off camera. I know that you put your points within Facebook today. We're on the same wavelength because I think that with the knowledge comes the money, but you've got to focus. And if you're focused on money, you're not focused on the actual innovation. Right. So, I think we've had that understanding between us. I know people have different views on that. I know people have different ideologies on that, but I think that that's a really good answer. I think that if people are focused, and that's the word, like you just said, I think that's the true way or path to be able to get money if you want it. But if you've got it, you're not focused on it. Catch-22.
The actual thing is, people think when they get money, they'll get everything. But in reality, when you get money, then that's the moment when you realize you still have nothing. So stop being materialistic.
Are you sure you're 17? Can we not get an age check on this guy?
Last time I checked, I was 17.
Brilliant. I've just got these questions are flying in. Okay. That's a good question. I mean, I know that somebody's asked a really good question about the PPC. This is another question is, so where do you get most of your clients from? So not the revenue, but the amount of clients that you draw in.
I would say from Fiverr and Facebook.
Okay. Wow. So do you consider LinkedIn yet? Is that something you've looked at, or is that not something you've even...
I have a LinkedIn profile, but I'm still studying it. I don't know how the algorithm there works. So I'm still studying it, how it works. Then maybe I'll do a proper launch over there.
Yeah, that makes sense. So would you say you're getting enough clients from Facebook alone to be able to deal with? Is that why you don't need to differentiate at the moment? Do you find you're busy enough with what you've got? Yeah.
No, actually, I created a page for myself. So it has managers. So whoever contacts, they can handle it by themselves. I don't need to, always open the chat and see if there's a new client or someone who's there for a guide or something.
Right. Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah. Brilliant. I hope was pronounced this correctly. Aquino, I think. Salman, you're amazing. I'm 20 and I just started looking for Amazon clients. And I'm telling you all, it's hard. Best of luck. Yeah, you're not kidding. I've done it for a long time and it's very difficult, especially getting to the percentage with the high hitters and the 7-8 figures. But you are, this is what I'm saying to you, Salman, as you can see. So many people, you're inspiring people. It's like you said, it's not about money. It's about the legacy that you're leaving behind, which I think is more important than anything personally. So, I'll keep saying well done. I love this kid. What are you best at when it comes to work? So that's a good question, actually. What do you feel your talent is and where do you think your talent lies within, I'd say, social media, because that's just what you said your strong point is.
I would say talking. I talk a lot.
Do you?
Yeah, really. No, to be honest, I would say in private label. Because I've all of the projects I've done personally are in private label. So yeah, I would say that.
Brilliant. And can you sort of expand on that? Is there anything else within private label, or is it specifically the type of private label client?
If you go deep, then I would say that PPC, sourcing, and product research. Yeah, those are the core
Well,
parts.
I noticed something in you that is like you do have the communication skills, and that matters the most, which
Yeah,
is in
that
you.
does. That
Yeah,
does.
that
That's
most
why I
of the
said I
people are
talk a
lacking.
lot.
Yeah. So that's the best thing. You should talk a lot.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, so just see what other questions. Sorry about this, but your questions are flying in. Let's have a look. Okay. Oh, so what were you doing when you felt most demotivated? So I suppose that question is, when you've been low or you're feeling down, what do you do to pick yourself up? I mean, that's a good question, actually. And I think it would help the youth to understand that it is normal to be low. It's normal to feel like you're not hitting your targets. You're not the best at what you do. You know, what would you say to those kind of people who feel like they need some
When
lifting up?
someone has goals, when someone has goals, bigger than themselves, they never get demotivated, because even if they do, they realize that, yo, I gotta do this first, then we'll think about getting demotivated. So I have a lot of goals, I have a lot of investments plans, and well, that is the key factor that doesn't let me get demotivated. And sometimes when I am at a hard time, I have some friends that do help me out. I am really thankful for them. I'm not naming them. They didn't ask me to. So yeah.
I suppose the answer there as well is what you're trying to say is it's nice that you've got people that have inspired you as well, and I think that what you're doing, but the fact that you're giving those answers, it comes from a hierarchy down, and you're passing that on, and you're giving you're giving that incentive for people and giving them the answers that they are receiving from where you've come from. And I think it's important that you share that knowledge and help people who are young to lift them up. So that's brilliant. Again, we'll keep going through these questions. They're flying in. Questions and statements about how great you are, Salman. Love his honesty, short. It's Binte. Sorry. Love his honesty, short, straight, and meaningful answers. I must say you're a great guy. Keep moving. I don't think you're the kind of guy that won't stop moving. I can tell straight away. When you've just said that as well, when you said you aspire to things greater than yourself, I think then you're always growing because you never stop, because you're always trying to hit the next thing.
Exactly.
I think what I'll add to that from my experience, because I'm far from your age now, is that don't get demotivated if you don't reach that big pinnacle, because I think that you've got to enjoy the process. Yeah. I know that Danny McMillan over at Seller Sessions, he said, trust the process. And I think if you don't enjoy that process and you want the top of the mountain, you're always going to be deflated when you get there because you've gone through so much that you've not learned or enjoyed. So I think that's an important factor to
if
answer
someone
with that.
considers themselves to be an entrepreneur, there's no gap for demotivation, because that's not in the game. You need to you need to be motivated all the time if you're calling yourself an entrepreneur.
True. Although you are allowed to be upset, even though you're not demotivated.
That's something completely different.
Well, if you ask Daniel, I get upset quite frequently, but I'm always motivated. I try my best. That's all you can do as well. I think that's the important thing. As long as you try your best, I think that's important, and feel like you're doing everything you can. Okay, what's the most important factor that makes Amazon business successful? I probably don't think. I probably won't move on to that answer because I think it's too broad of a question, if that's okay. I think that,
you can take it, no problem.
Are you sure? Okay, well, we'll pass that question to you. What's the most important factor that makes an Amazon business successful in your eyes?
I would say selecting your target audience, finding yourself a good product, finding yourself a good supplier, and that's pretty much it. Because if you don't have a good product, whatever you do, you're not getting there where you plan to be. If you're not getting a good supplier, the quality issues and the shipping issues, they're always going to be there. So you're going to be upset. And yeah, that's pretty much it. To be successful, you just gotta plan your audience, plan your shipping, plan your inventory and all that very carefully.
Yeah, totally agree. I think that's the most important thing, especially with the backtrack of the car crash known as the pandemic. I think that from my own experience, I think that it's backing up, and I know there's a few speeches, talks that I've been to recently where the whole talk is that when you've got a car crash, there's a backlog, and that backlog won't clear quickly. So you've got to be on the ball with your stock, on the ball with your product, and make sure. I think that a good answer there as well. What if you don't mind me adding, is that in regards to stock flow, it's all very well when I'm coming from a Pinterest background.
Yeah.
I advise people, it's great that you've got all this traffic and you've got all this, PPC on product inventory. However, it can be your biggest problem, because if you've not got the product to sell, then, you can go too busy. So it's having that control method in place and the 2 steps ahead with the stock control, as you know, and giving that advice across to clients as well, that I think is important in this current climate. So, okay, I've got Danish here, Mansoor, and he's asking, have you ever encountered a failure with any project?
I wouldn't say failure, but one offer launch did struggle in the US.
Okay. So have you yet to experience a true failure, I suppose? That's the question.
Yeah, I don't want that.
It can happen. And to be honest, I've always said
Yeah,
this, that, but failure is experience and you get results usually. So, I'd say, it's a good question, that. And the fact that you've managed to dodge that so far is incredible, especially with, obviously, the amount of revenue and the way that you're going. So I have to give you full credit that you've not experienced failure yet. But, I think there's a lot of people out there right now who are experiencing failure. What would you say to them, I suppose? What do you think you would say to those people?
I would just say, don't give up. Be patient. Amazon is all about being patient. So don't give up. Be patient, and stop planning your inventory wrong. That's the only reason why launches suffer. Is because launching and ranking isn't that hard. The real hard part is sustainability. That's where people lack a lot.
Well, as you'll know as well, what you've just said is spot on. You'll know that the algorithm absolutely craves stability. It's all about customer service and customer stability. So, I think that's a really good answer, and I think it's important. Do you want to add to that, Daniel? Have you got anything to say on that? I know you probably might have something to say on that.
I think he's right, and I won't add anything in this to Amazon thing. Yeah, I don't want to speak on Amazon. No.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
An honest answer, but that's fine. Okay, so a leader in general, his answer for money was spectacular. No flexing, no chasing money, just focusing on expanding his skill set. What a great example for Pakistani freelancer community. Don't get me wrong, everybody needs money to live. Everybody needs money to grow. I think I answered a question recently that was posed to you in the group. Basically, I see money as building blocks. Some people see money as a new car. Some people see it as help to aid the family. Everyone's got a different view on capital. But I do think that you're right. I think that if you can step away from it, it's very difficult, though, I would say, for people who are in poverty, people who are really struggling. It's easier said than done, but I think that ideology is applicable, and you can apply that. I think you're right. I think you grow exponentially. I've learned that a lot older than you, and I think that you're onto something with that in a big way. So I think that, that person who's left that, it's absolutely spot on. And the fact that you've actually realised that from a young age is in my eyes is really important. So. Okay, so here's another question. Salman, what are some of your goals right now? So what are your targets and goals right now?
The main goal is building a huge empire out of my company, obviously. That's the main goal. I have some small ones, but this is the one keeping me, you have to do this first.
So when you say an empire, I mean... I don't think you've seen Star Wars, but I'm not going to call you Darth Vader. But but when you say it, because we're geeks, and everyone knows about sci-fi who's a geek usually, or is it, I'm a bit older. So, but all I'm saying is, when you say empire, is that in your terms? Is that something where it's deemed as a remote network?
No.
Is it something?
I mean, ever since I was a kid, I was obsessed. I am still obsessed with skyscrapers. So what I want to do is, I want to build a huge building with our logo on the top, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much it. He just wants to build a skyscraper and then he's
No,
done.
I don't want to buy one. I want to build one.
Well, okay, I'm sorry. I stand corrected. You want to build one, but that's fantastic. That's brilliant. But you've got your goals, you've got your purpose, and I think if you've got your purpose, you've got something to aim for. So, you know, all power to you, all greatness to you. That's fantastic. So let's move on to the next question. Sorry, this is just a statement. Great to see Salman here, inspiring for upcoming youth. This person is also 17, and I've recently done a VA course for them enablers. Salman was a motivation for me to join this field. That's fine.
Oh, thank you.
I really appreciate. Yeah, that's great. Fantastic to know. And again, these are all comments and questions coming in pretty quickly. What's the best way to reduce ACOS? I'm presuming that's aimed at Amazon. I'm presuming.
I mean, if your auto campaigns are running wild, then you should cut them loose, switch to manual, and yeah, that's one way you can control your ACOS.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
I see some people running 2 or 3 automatic campaigns. I don't understand the reason, but you should move to one, or if the purpose is finished, which is getting you proper keywords, then you should turn it off.
Well, I think this is a quite broad question. You know, you can't say I will do this and this will happen. So you have to test and try. Every time, every product has a different nature, different kind, different search volume. People are coming with different intents. So you cannot say this PPC strategy would work and definitely work.
No,
so
it doesn't always work.
Yeah.
But usually people do this.
Yeah.
I agree, but there's one point that I need to make on this, if you don't mind. And I think that one important factor to consider is that when people enter into Q1, it's a very important time to review your ACOS, to maybe go manual and bring those costs right down, because everybody seems to get on that late. Not everybody, but I'm saying it's quite a common thing for those who are not used to going through a very busy Q4, and suddenly the ACOS is extremely high. So I think one answer I would give for that, you're right, Daniel, spot on. I think it is a broad question, but I would say, have a plan of attack for your Q1. Make sure you reduce those ACOSs and make sure that they don't flow over into Q2. Suddenly you go, where's all my money gone? And it's like, well, you've got Q4 ACOS, you know.
Right.
Yeah. That's just my opinion on it, you know, from my angle. But yeah, it is a general question. You're right. What causes stress in your life? I mean, I suppose.
Oh, a lot of things. You don't want to know about it.
Good answer. Shall we move on? I think that's a general question for everybody.
There's a general one.
Yeah. What advice do you have for the young ones like you?
Like you.
I think you've answered quite a lot of that, but I think it's a good question.
Stop running after relationships and focus on your career first.
Is that it? Just don't chase relationships and concentrate on your career?
Yeah, really, because I receive a lot of DMs every single day, and today one of them was like 13, or maybe he was turning 14 soon, and he was like, hey Salman, I'm this years old, I have this issue, and my girlfriend just left me. And I was like, wait, didn't you just say you were 13? And yeah, so this is the basic advice that I would like to give the youth. I mean, Brilliant. Dude, you're 13 years old. Why do you want a girlfriend?
You know, it sounds strange, you're 17, but you sound like my father was when I was your age. So it's a bit of a kind of a flip reversal here happening. And also what I would say to the audience, I think what's important is for a 17-year-old guy, young man who's over in Pakistan, your English is phenomenal. And I think that when you come from a background like myself with programming, I think that no matter what language you speak, whether it's ASP, PHP, Spanish, English, and French, are similar sort of ideologies. I think the fact that you've nailed the English language helps you to be able to cross-border communicate with other countries. And I think that's important, especially if you're going to start working with clients. I think the fact that, I mean, I feel ignorant that I can't speak Urdu or, Hindi, or I do feel bad that I can't speak other languages, Mandarin. I speak French and Spanish a little bit, not great. But the point being is that I think that with the up and coming e-commerce in the Pakistani community, I think that it's important that you have that communication to be able to thrive. I really do. And the fact that you've done that at 17 is phenomenal. So again, I keep giving you compliments, but I'd say that your English is fantastic, and I think that's going to bode very well for you in the future. Let's keep going. I'm not sure how long this session should be, but it seems to be we've got questions coming in.
35 minutes.
Shall we go the hour? I think is that what we're supposed to do? I'm not sure actually. Are you okay for the next 20 minutes to go through some more questions? Sure. Are you okay, Dan?
Yeah, totally fine.
I mean, these are flying in unbelievably. You've obviously got a lot of people that respect and are looking up to you. It's fantastic. So seeing you, Salman, in this podcast, such an inspiration and proud for us. Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, failure is going to happen. That's the way it is. Your business failing is something else. It is. But I think that I don't want it to happen for you. I've had it happen, not so much.
Even if I think that it will happen, I would say that it should happen when I, invest my own money. I wouldn't want a client's money to be on the line and I'm saying like, yo, what if we go towards failure? That's not my mindset. So I think we're clear.
But what I would say is there's a lot of factors outside of your control that you'll never be able to control, and you will find it could happen. And
we cannot control what's going to happen next, but what we can do is have a positive mindset.
Exactly. And that's all you can do. And that's the exact answer. So your business failing is something else. However, I think the toughest part, and I think this person who's come along, it's obviously very poignant for them. I think it's really important to understand that when something fails, you can be damaged. You can have a confidence issue. It can knock you, sideways. So all I'd say is exactly what you said, Salman, is try to gain back your positivity, take yourself out of that situation as soon as possible and build yourself back up again to apply yourself in a different way. I know I'll say this. We've done the live case studies over on our group, and it's absolutely sent me sideways, and it was difficult. We didn't fail, but the chances of failure are always there. And when you do something different, I think that the chances of failure exponentially increase. But again, being entrepreneurs, you've got to do that. And sometimes if you don't go all in and you're halfway in and out, I think that can be a problematic situation as well. So what a great answer about sustainability. Great points, Matt. Oh, thank you. I've got one compliment. You've got about 55 million, Salman. I've got one, so I'll take that one. Okay, so Salman, how do you plan to change what you do today to grow your business for the future?
That's a hard one.
It's a good question, that.
I would say invest my money somewhere else. I mean, I'm already working on Amazon, so I would rather invest my money in NFTs or something else to, keep exploring something different. That's one way I can scale up.
Do you have any questions, Dan? Or, I mean,
so you mentioned NFTs. So how do you see the future with metaverse, NFTs, and all sort of coming sets? Youth is running towards that, and all the Gen Zs are running towards this kind of venture. So what do you see? Is it going to be viable here sitting in East?
I would say every business, every single thing is viable. But the thing is that the mindset and the work that you're putting into it. I mean, if you believe that you're buying an NFT and it would resell or it won't resell. So if you believe it would resell, and if it doesn't, that would shake you. But at least you try. So I would say that NFTs are the next big thing, but you should plan everything very wisely, because if you don't resell them, then it's not something that viable for you. So you should go for NFTs if you have some money lying around that has no purpose, and you think I can invest this into NFTs and all. But you cannot invest your life savings into NFT, because if you want the money for an emergency and you're not able to resell it, then it would cause problems for you.
That's a good answer. Yeah.
Good point. Yeah.
I mean, I've got a question. I mean, my background is multimedia, so obviously, going back years ago, I was building things which were interactive shopping places, etc. So for me, this metaverse is almost like 20 years too late for me. I'm enjoying every ride that's imaginable. Now, I've done my research into the metaverse, and I know, obviously, with cryptocurrency and NFTs and all that kind of stuff, I think that in the future there is huge possibilities. But like anything, comes regulation, and I think the biggest problem people are facing or will face with the metaverse is regulatory initiatives, so to speak, things that will come in and try and regulate that space. Because I know that if you buy these things, it's not about selling and buying. It's about what authorities are going to be over the metaverse, who are going to be regulating these things that could actually instigate or not destroy, but could actually affect people's pockets and say, you know, we want that cash back for tax purposes. But also, what I find really interesting, I mean, I'm excited about the metaverse. I think that there's companies underlying that will invest where you practically will put on your is it Oculus? I think it's Oculus, isn't it? Your visor, and you could just purchase things, put them in baskets, and pay through digital assets. It's an interesting concept, and I think it's something that, well, it is something I know that we're on Facebook that Zuckerberg mentioned later last year, and obviously there's other companies such as I think Shopify. They're interested in investing in it. It's a big topic and something I think we're going to go into, me and Daniel, in a big way. But I never thought of that asset that you've just mentioned, and I think that that's actually something that people may want to look into in the not so distant future, maybe in the next 12 months. So yeah, interesting question that, Daniel, actually, with the metaverse, and something that obviously Salman's thought about. What a surprise, he's already on it. So brilliant. Okay, Salman, please tell us the demanding skills to learn being an Amazon VA, because in my experience, I've seen many of VAs is only give their time to product hunting. I think it is totally wrong, because there are many skills like PPC mastery, account suspension, micro PL, private label. Hope you agree with me. Quite a good, intricate question.
Nice.
What do you know, it is a nice question, very detailed and specific. What do you think about that? What's your thoughts on that?
I would say that PPC and account reinstatements and Amazon listing image creation, EVC, and all that, these services are really hot right now. And if you are to ask me that what service should I focus on, so I guess that would be PPC, because listing image designing is not child's play. So you have to be a designer for that. Not everybody is a designer. I'm not. So that's pretty much it. But yeah, you should work on your communication skills if you are a VA, because the most challenging thing for a VA in Pakistan is that I'm not getting clients. The reason is I cannot communicate. So I would say that communication skills are a must for a VA.
Yeah, very good point. Okay, so what advice would you give to someone who's just started their business on Amazon? I think you've answered that. Did you answer that? Not too sure, actually. Yeah, we'll move on from. Yeah, be patient. Persistence pays in my
Stop thinking about profits.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Huge point, Dan. I think that's referring to the metaverse. It is a big point, something that obviously Salman related to, and I think is a brilliant question. Salman, degree or money-making skills?
Both.
Both.
Both, yeah. What to do with the overthinking? I'd say don't switch it off, because that's why you're doing what you're doing.
I think I can answer that, because I overthink sometimes too. If I'm doing it, I cannot stop someone else from doing it.
Somebody's put, wow, I can't believe I'm listening to a 17-year-old. This is insane. I'll just respond to that and say, I can't believe I'm speaking to a 17-year-old. It's equally insane. Hope you are learning something here. That's probably referring to everybody on this cast. Okay, I think this is, it's John Serafano. I can see this coming across now, actually. What was the hardest thing you had to overcome when you first started, and how did you overcome it? Good question.
I would say my age, because people never see kids my age working, plus into Amazon. So the hardest challenge for me was that whenever we spoke to a client, and I sound really childish, and back then I used to sound very, very childish. So whenever we spoke on calls, on video calls or something, so they were always like, "You're a kid. How are you gonna scale up our business on Amazon?" And I was like, "Just trust me, I can."
Wow, confidence and a half. I mean, I suppose it doesn't matter. I think the thing is everything's blowing up, and now a lot of people your age are giving opportunities more than ever to use your mind. Because I always say to Daniel, and I say to other people, you can't buy minds. You're born with them, and well, you probably could buy minds, but maybe in the future in the metaverse you could probably buy somebody's mind. But yeah, I think that's a really good answer. I think you've answered that really well. Okay, so got a few more questions here. One of them is, have you ever encountered other sellers' attacks? If yes, how did you fight? That's from
Yeah, we
Ibrahim.
once did. A guy hijacked our listing. I don't know why. We were brand registered. So no, it was pretty easy. We just submitted some invoices to Amazon and our brand registry and our trademark, and within, I guess, a week, that guy was removed.
A week? Wow. Okay. Is there any other circumstances you can think of? Because I would say you probably come across a few circumstances. Is there any others you can think of that might help some of the people in the group out there?
My friend once did this. He removed a hijacker from his listing. He wasn't even brand registered, and I was like, "Dude, how did you even do that?" So he didn't tell me, but the only thing he said was, I was like spending a lot of time with the seller support, and I didn't leave them for a single minute. So
yeah. I think that's a really good answer, and I know from my own experience that especially brand registry, you go through a different side of seller support. Obviously, I think one thing that all the sellers and the audience on the group need to realize is that, and I tell my staff this, my internals, is that you hit a bot. And it's very important that you don't get discredited or disheartened straight away. You've got to keep going. It's just the way that it's wired. And I think that a lot of people entering this from a new angle need to realize that the first answer isn't always the right answer. You've got to keep going. So what you just said then, really important for many sellers. They need to keep on the case with that. And don't give them any breathing space. Just keep plugging away. Well, you've got to, persistence pays, and it's one of my main sayings, and it's true with that as well. So, good answer, Salman. So, somebody said, is that they're a designer? It's Nabil Ahmed. Also, is a designer. So, should I learn something about Amazon? I mean,
you can design Amazon listing images if you learn to. You can go to the TOS and see how it goes. Amazon has certain requirements for the images. So if you can do it, then sure, why not?
I think you just answered a really, really good point there, the TOS.
Yeah.
I think that's the most important thing is, yes, you can design, but just consider the terms of service and what you're designing and which image. I think there's different rules on the hero image as there is on the rest. So that's another thing to consider. But yeah, good answer, especially that point. See what other question we've got here. Another question is that how to build a portfolio being a new Amazon VA. Is it good to join my neighbors or doing an internship from any other agency? Because without having portfolio, none of clients agreed to work with the new Amazon VA. That's a catch-22. I'll just answer this quickly and pass it over to you guys. But I'd say that's a catch-22 question, because I think in any industry, when you're kicking anything off, it's very difficult. You end up in a trap. I think that the first point of call is just to get that first client, first hit, first whatever, as soon as you can, and get out of that motion as soon as you can. I think that's the answer that I would give. But if you've got anything to add to that, guys, I'd say just try and break the circle of, having no experience but not being able to get it, I suppose.
I would say even if you don't have any experience and you have good communication skills, then you would be able to close the client, because when you talk to the client and you tell him or give him what he wants from you, then he's hiring you. Of course, he's hiring you. But if you don't, your communication skills aren't that good. So I would recommend that you should take your clients to Upwork or Fiverr. You would have to give 20% of what you earn, but at least you'll get some reviews. That would help you to build your portfolio.
Everybody got to start somewhere.
I would like to add something here. Like when you see a job post in Amazon groups, so you see comments from all those VAs. They are just mentioning themselves experts, but there's no background history, So first thing I
Right.
would like to say to all those VAs out there, go create a website for themselves. This is the differentiator for you. This is going to be the differentiator for you. Even you can go on canva.com and you can create a portfolio there. You create a portfolio and put that in the comments. You will see the difference. You will see the clients coming to you. You need to make yourself different to stand out. That's the best thing you could do as a newbie or as an expert. Stand out.
Yeah, definitely. I think as well, when you mentioned about having an external website, I think it shows not only authority, but I know I'm going back to the Pinterest side of things here, but I don't think it's just Pinterest. I think it's any marketplace that if you've got a reputable URL and just a portfolio in general to refer to, especially with a high-end client, I think that it's really important that you've got that just on the off. Even if it's nothing interactive, I think if you've just got something there as a freelancer to refer to, it looks good. It looks good on your CV. So not everybody can do that. I think starting off the way that Salman said is the best way. I think that maybe having a reduced rate fee and getting your reputation up there first is most important with any marketplace. But I think what you've just said there, obviously I'm looking at it from a Pinterest angle now, is that, and not just Pinterest, other markets where you've got to have a URL as trust. I think that it's important now more than ever in social media that you've got that URL of trust there, just because it's attached to your address, it's attached to your business, your name, and people want to see valid. I can't even say the word. They want to see that you're valid, and they want to see that you're authentic and genuine. And I think that having that established foothold is a really important thing, especially with the way that the algorithms work now. So, okay. A lot of service providers, specifically newcomers, struggle with establishing their profile on freelancing platforms, only referring to ethical ways and not fake orders to rank your portfolio. I think that's just come back to the same answer that you've given, really.
I guess.
I think that's the same answer. I think that, I mean, I think the
Well,
main
one thing you should do, and probably everyone should do, is stop getting fake reviews. I mean, it's so obvious.
Yeah. It is, and as a lot of these marketplaces that and social media platforms that are getting more, that the APIs and the data is getting more intricate, the way that the algorithms reading things, I think that everything like that usually bites back from my experience from seeing these things. So I think that even though you think you're doing well, 9 times out of 10 they do an update and you're taking off.
Yeah,
and you've got to be really, really considerate of that. I think it's important. Good to see you, Matt Parker. Good to see you too. I don't know who that was, but I've not been online. I've had family and staff with COVID, and it's been a difficult time. So it's nice to see everybody really and be back on the camera. So thank you, whoever's put that. What do you do daily that gives you the success you have today? Is there anything that you have a routine? Like, have you got any daily routine that you follow, or anything that keeps you in check? I think that's a good question, actually.
I eat a lot.
You eat a lot?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Potatoes?
I won't lie, it doesn't look like you eat a lot because you're quite a slender-looking chap, but...
Yeah, I do eat a lot, but you can tell that when you look at me. I mean, I'm really skinny. I don't know where it goes.
You've got a fast metabolism. Trust me, when I hit 30, it starts changing that. You've not a chance. You start getting weight in places that you didn't expect. So, but the thing is, you eat a lot. I think is that more like comfort eating? Is it sort of like taking a break? Is that why you do it, or?
Very less breaks. No, that's not what I meant. I literally do eat a lot. Okay.
Well, it's comfort eating then, I suppose. It's something that helps you to focus. That's That's your success story. Is basically you eat a lot. Fantastic.
I mean, there are more reasons, but I would say, this is, the main one.
I mean, I know you've spoken about your mentors who give you your inspiration, because I think that's important. I think everybody has something that comes from somewhere, or your drive comes from somewhere. So I think you've covered a lot of that anyway. Just see what questions we can bring up now. There's quite a few here, but I'm trying to see any that haven't really been answered. I think that's quite a straightforward one, but I'll leave that with you guys because you'll know better than me. So how can they build the communication skills better?
Try watching movies with subtitles, download a thesaurus, and read books. Try reading books.
That's a good approach. Subtitles, yeah, definitely. And is that how both of you guys have sort of taken things, or have you got a different approach on it? I'm only interested because for me,
I used to do the same. I used to watch the movies, and
right,
yeah.
Movies are good to build up an accent.
Exactly. Yeah. So
I suppose it's not just that. If you've got to go and watch your favorite film, you got to, I suppose you're enjoying it as well, and I think that's part and parcel of it. If you're enjoying and learning, what better way to do it? So yeah, great focus, and it's a great way to it makes complete sense. I think if we had this, I mean, what should be daily practice to continue Amazon career with studies being an intermediate student?
Do anything good except gossip. So stop